Now in the forum, it says, after finding one article, please post the MLA citation from the Gale Reference Library, which is that citation I just showed you that I retrieved in the MLA, so we need this. And explain in depth beneath the citation how the article relates to the context of your image. So underneath the citation, I'm going to write a paragraph that explains how this source puts my chosen art image into context. Now, when you are doing this, there are a couple of different ways that you can do it. You can choose to quote from the source. So if I'm typing, for instance, my paragraph and I'm getting information out of that piece by Brown, then I might choose to insert a direct quote, word for word from Brown. If I do that, I also have to make sure I document. So I have to put at the end Brown's last name. Now, if there are page numbers present, I also have to include the page number after that. So for this one, for instance, I can view it as an ebook and it'll show me the pages, but let's say I'm reading in this section here and I want to use something here. It gives me the page number that it was on in the actual physical book, because this is just a digital copy, but it was a physical book. It says page 1535. So if there's a page number present, I have to include the page number. Now, if I have a quote and there is no page number present, let's say it's just text, then you just do the last name. If there's no page number, you don't put a page number there. Now, let's say I'm using the source by Brown and I decide to paraphrase or put what I read into my own words. Even though I changed the words from Brown's words into my own words and my own language, I still have to do the documentation in the exact same way. Okay, if there's a page number present, I have the page number. If there isn't a page number present, then I don't use the page number, I just put the last name. So whether you quote or paraphrase, which is what this is in my own words, you still have to always document where the information comes from. Now, if you choose to quote word for word, it should be short. You should never have long, direct quotes from a source inside of any paper that you write, because a majority of the writing should always be your own. And when you put something in your own words, it shows your instructor that you actually understood what you read. If you quote word for word, that tells me that you can copy, but that doesn't tell me you actually understand what you're giving to me. So paraphrasing is always the best way to go. There are some times when you cannot paraphrase and you have to quote, but if you can paraphrase in your own words, you always should. In addition, what you put in here often depends on how many authors are present. So if there's one author, like Brown, then you only put Brown because there's only one author. If there are two authors, you have to put both. Okay, so let's say the book was written by Brown and it was Brown, Robert, and John Smith. So there are two authors. If there's two authors, I have to put Brown and Smith. If there are three or more authors, like let's say it was written by Brown, Smith, and Jones, then if there's three or more, I do Brown and then this abbreviation, ETAL, which indicates that there were three or more authors. So it's not going to make me list out all three or all five or all 10 authors if there's that many. If there's more than two, then I get to abbreviate. But if there's one author or two authors, I always have to put their names. Another thing to note is that when you're writing your sentences, whether you have a direct quote like this or you paraphrase, note the punctuation does not go here at the end of my sentence. It always goes outside the citation, right there. Right there. The last thing you might need to know is how to do a citation if there's no author. Let's say, for instance, there was no author given to me, and it just starts like that. The title of the work. If it doesn't give you an author, then you go with the title. but you only include the first couple of words, 2 or 3 words at the most. You never want to have long citations. If the title is 10 words, don't put all 10 words in there. So let's say I took the information from the book and put the ideas in my own words. If there's no author, then I would put the title, which up here appears in quotes. So in here, it'll also be in quotes. And if there's a page number, I'll include the page number. If there's no page number, then I will not include the page number. Since this content is eventually going into your paragraph 4 for your essay, get as much out of the source as you can, because you want to make sure that at the end you're going to have a good 8 to 10 sentences to build into a paragraph. Make sure you document everything so that you don't end up with plagiarism issues later on. This paper requires one source from the database at the minimum, but if you want to use more sources in the final paper, that's perfectly fine. Just make sure you document those as well. But for this assignment, for homework, you only have to provide one source. Please keep in mind that the database is required for this one. Your paper should not use any sources from the internet, only database stuff. So just don't even go there. Just make sure you stick with the database.